Zhixil just kind of sits back and he's just like, I hope you are well enough now.
Yes, much better.
Oh.
Alfonz?
Yes. Good morning, friends. Oh, swigs the coffee. Oh, it's too sweet.
It's very sweet.
And there's honey in it, right?
There's sugar and honey.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pilot doesn't drink beverages. They're not too familiar.
Not keen on
How it
how.
works, yeah.
Mhm.
I only
You do?
know Alfonz drinks stuff with.
How do
5
you
sugars
even
and
know
a
that? You weren't
dash of
even
honey.
there when he ordered
That's
that
true.
tea.
That is
I
true.
I love
oh,
it.
That's true.
You're just so attentive.
You see the shadow behind Southwind's window. That was.
Scribbling notes.
Mhm.
I want
Alright.
to talk to Zhixil and be like, so, Corin,
Ah, yes.
he gets around town a lot.
It's around.
So you were out, were you? And then he kind of like looks at the others. He's kind of like looks at Pilot, just kind of like quizzically, like almost like, do they know that you were out?
I turn my whole body towards Zhixil.
We do know you were out.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
not the point. The point is I
Okay.
need to interrogate this cat person.
Okay.
How does Corin know the city so well?
It's a question that even I ponder over to this day. He seems to have some extreme familiarity with this place. But he has been here for a very long time. I know that for certain.
How long?
Oh, his whole life.
Was he born here?
Yes. Yes, he was. He has helped me immensely with my time here.
That's good.
I imagine he... And then again, then he just kind of wavers off because he doesn't know if he should be talking out loud, if it should instead be a private conversation with Pilot or not. Well, I at least hope you had a good night, all of you.
Absolutely. He has
Yes.
been a great help to me as well.
That's good. I would expect nothing less. He turns his attention to Ilikhal, the business with the Goliaths. I regret to inform you that Corin is not here, if you were in fact searching for him. However, I do have it on good authority that he took care of what you were looking for.
I appreciate you passing on the word. So I just go up to the palace.
Absolutely. You have my word.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
I look over at Ilikhal and I say, "Did we wrestle last night?"
I pat him on the head. Yeah, we did. You did great.
A half-elf and a Goliath. What a sight to see.
You won, Alfonz. I'm so proud of you.
Wow.
He kind of like darts his eyes at Ilikhal, like, really?
I just give him like the shut up.
You were like a monster, Alfonz. It was scary.
Alfonz the Goliath Slayer. I love the sound of that.
Well, Zhixil, if that is all, we must be off to see to the palace. Thank you very much for passing on the word.
Absolutely. If you'd like some company, I can come along. I do know the palace myself.
I
Hard
perk an
A.
eyebrow and I go, actually, yeah, that sounds.
I
Sounds
mean,
like a good
Alfonz might
plan.
want him there.
Yeah.
You could see
It'd be great to have an
Maryland
extra set
dude.
of eyes. Also, if we pass Minolin, you might be able to introduce us or to his scribe.
Yes,
knows.
of course.
He knows Petarch.
Mhm.
Minolin's like He's not Minilin's apprentice. He's Minilin's apprentice's apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be your in to see Minilin, unless you do see him at the palace.
I must say, if you would in haste finish your beverages, I know the work required to get you in would require some haste in your delivery of whatever information you're looking for.
I chug my coffee and stand up.
It was
I sip mine and I'm like, oh, still a little hot.
it was still pretty hot.
Use prestidigitation to cool it down then.
You can.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I use prestidigitation to bring it to
I
a nice
just-
drinking temperature.
I just drink it.
Yeah, finish it off.
It hurts in a good way.
Mm.
All right. So we're gonna depart for the palace.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. So you guys travel down the King's Road. This is the highway. Like this is the road. Like as you guys traveled, you noticed this yesterday as you walked as well. It's fancy is like the best way to describe it. There's like a median with like flowers and like small trees that are well groomed, I guess, well trimmed. There are occasional Northern Reach banners, everything in the king's colors of silver and blue, and with the king's insignia of a hand with a lightning bolt rising out of it, or potentially descending into it. Who knows? There are at night there are lanterns that are lit, and the city is like you could travel down the King's Road in the dead of night and be able to actually like see. But you travel and it is cobbled, paved, not dirt. So you travel in, you reach the center gate to the inner city. You enter into the inner city or the old city. Yes.
I wonder if, like, during the walk, Zhixil maybe inquires on the Goliath situation to Ilikhal, perhaps.
Yeah.
If Ilikhal's willing to inform.
We are asking the king for aid in defeating a dragon that has pushed us from our lands.
Dragon, you say? Interesting.
Yes. That's about as much as he offers.
Yeah, I think Zhixil kind of, yeah, he's like, okay, he's just kind of thinking on it.
Okay. Yeah, you continue on. You get into the inner city. The inner city, it rises up. The buildings are a little bit taller. You get more buildings made of like heavy foundations of stone. Some that are potentially like they're like too smooth. They look like they could have even been constructed with magic, like using like a stone shaped spell or something. And you pass many different people. There is a delegation of what appear to be high elves that pass heading away from the palace square, among other things. All kinds of stuff. Lots of different people, lots of different ages. You see children, you see elderly, you see everything in between. There are people who are hustling and bustling, look like they're doing work. There are people who appear to be doing like construction. There are people that are like hawking wares. There are people that look like they are potentially kind of sketchy. Like everything that you would see in the big city. And some appear to be tourists. First time in the big city. But you continue on down the King's Road, and eventually you reach the Palace Square. At the other end of the Palace Square, there is the entrance to the palace, and as the day before, there are a couple guards standing outside that stop and let people in and out. And as you approach, here, halt.
I don't see my uncle anywhere, do I?
You do not. Potentially, he was let into the palace grounds yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he might be further
He's a-
inside. Okay.
halt. What's your business? It's not the same guy as yesterday.
Hello, I am here to petition the king. My name is Ilikhal. On behalf of the Goliaths, I believe word has been sent ahead.
He goes, it has. You may enter. If you are with Chief Maddock, he is soon to be. He just came through. He's going to be admitted to see the king immediately. I would hurry.
Thank you very much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
keep going.
All of us?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
You were all let in, including Zhixil.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you enter into the palace, and this is all of your, well, other than Zhixil, this is your first time entering into the palace of the Storm King. And it is, so directly beyond the front gate, it is a
Well,
concentric
not
palace.
Pilot's first time either.
As far as you know. So it's a concentric palace. Within the first gate, it kind of, it doesn't wind in, but it's not like gate into gate into gate. That wouldn't make any like real sense for like defensive purposes. You'd want like an invading army to have to like move around a little bit. So you have to kind of like, it's like an S-ish up into the central palace. But as this is the main entrance, is like for diplomacy as well. There's like a little bit of greenery, some trees, some like gardening, and it's easy to walk up through the first like concentric ring. Into the second ring, there are a little more like business. It's a little more not businessy, but it's like there's a barracks, what appears to be like some training area, a little bit more open space to do other things. You see potentially off to one side a stable, and as you enter the central ring, you come up on like the keep and the palace itself. It's a palace, and it stands out so interestingly that the rock of which the palace is built is not the same as the rock of the cliff behind it. Is the rock of the palace itself is this dark, stormy looking. It looks like storm clouds almost, while the like white rock of the the storm range is behind it in this cliff face.
Can I make note of the guards' moving patterns?
You can attempt to.
I attempt
Mm.
to.
Make an investigation check as you're walking through.
That is an 11.
As you are walking, you do notice guards patrolling. You're not able to discern specific patterns. So it appears either it is random or it is much more complicated than you are capable of understanding in your short walkthrough. So you enter, you reach the palace keep. It's an interesting thing being here because it is both a defensive fortification as well as a dignitary. They do host events like and balls and things that are diplomatic, as well as like this is where like invading armies would be coming, so it has to be able to repel that. There's this mixture of incredibly functionally for defense, but also this like it has to be kind of pompy. There's a certain amount of pomp and decoration and non-practicality to some aspects of it, such as like the decorative planters of Northern Reaches wildflowers and intricate carvings and the way the crenellations are designed, all kinds of not necessarily functional, definitely fashionable thing. As you approach the main entrance to the palace, again, there's a second post of guards that say, "What's your business? What's your name?" These guards look a lot tenser than the others. These are like the real guards.
We are here to meet with Chief Maddock and petition the king. My name is Ilikhal of Clan Verdelfiel.
Oh, of course. You just entered. Straight ahead, a clerk will be with you immediately. And they big doors open a little bit, enough to where like all four of you could pass abreast. Enter into the palace itself. The entry room is not as well as it needs to be. That it's darker than, like, it's not. Like there is, like, immediately somebody comes up and he's like, "Oh, hello, you must be Ilikhal. Follow me, please." And just this, he's dressed in a page's outfit. He's probably middle age. He's got like a serious like widow's peak. Doesn't introduce himself. Says, "Please follow me. We'll get you your uncle, I do believe, right? Yes, absolutely. Okay, I will escort you. My name is Matthew. Got you. Please
you.
come on. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. And he's very mouse-like. I get would be a good way of describing him. He looks nervous. Like there's no reason. He just looks like a nervous guy. Just sweaty. You're doing great.
You're doing great, Sweaty.
But the things you notice as you're walking through, it's dreary in here. Like, it is, for something that's like incredibly staffed, it's oddly quiet. It's like a nice day outside. It's really dim in here. As you pass by, you see a few sconces that could be lit but aren't. There are these like enormous windows that let in a pretty good bit of light, and there are a few that are just like beautifully like stained glass, like mosaics almost of different events of history of the Northern Reaches. And there's tons of artwork, and there are like the old school like statues of armor that are just kind of standing on display, and banners and things. But it's there's an air about the place that it's a little sad. Like it's like being in a house that isn't occupied anymore. Like it's like if someone who lived in the house just left, and everything was just still kind of going on about it. There's just this lack of energy here. In a page, he takes you through a few different corridors, out of like the main area, and there's into sort of like a long hallway, up a flight of stairs, and you're down this hallway, and then immediately you're taken into a doorway. It's open. He goes, "Just through here, and it'll be just a moment." And you were brought to it's like a sitting room, and there's another set of doors, like a double set of doors in there, and your uncle is there along with your cousin Elsif, and your other friend
Keovek?
Keovek. Thank you. Who have been petitioning apparently every day for the past at least this amount of time.
As you might be aware, it's a little high strung in here, and you best get to your point as soon as you can.
We will keep that in mind. And I go over to my uncle and I say, "Uncle, it appears we will be meeting with the king."
It does. We were very surprised when we arrived today. We were taken straight here. We've only been here a few moments. We've never even been to this part of the palace before. Usually, we are waiting outside the throne room.
Yes, I suppose I know some people who know some people.
Yes, it is quite interesting. And as he says this, these two double doors open, and a gentleman, another page or some sort of staff, steps out, and he is a little bit older, like late middle age, much more stiffly buttoned up. And he goes, "Please enter." And he like steps to the side, and he goes, "What shall I announce you as?" And he looks to your uncle and he goes, "Oh, just Chief Maddock." That's what I'm called.
Ilikhal says, of the Verdofuel clan. He throws that in there. I look at Alfonz and Pilot and I say, "Maybe it is best if you wait here while we speak to him."
We'd be happy to join.
Yeah,
I need this.
sit in the sitting room. Just
As you wish.
Just sit in the corner.
Just hang back.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, stand next to my uncle. Go.
Okay, you all walk through the door. Chief Maddox goes in first, with Elsif and Kevak, and you all pass in behind. And the individual, potentially herald, potentially page, who knows, some sort of staff, he goes, Chief Maddox of the Verdofiel clan, to see you, Your Majesty.
So glad I added that.
And as you walk into the room, you were in a sitting room previously with just there was a series of chairs. It was a sitting room. There was enough seats for everyone to have sat down. There was a few small windows. But as you go into this room, it's much bigger. It's actually it's probably 60 feet across and 80 feet deep. And at the center of this room is just an enormous table. No chairs sitting around it hardly, except potential like one or two. And with his back to you, you see who is potentially King Alec III, the Stormborn. And what you see is he appears to be leaning onto the table, both arms placed in front of him, and he is looking over something that's a very large something. And he's kind of hunched over, and he's talking to there are a few gentlemen and one lady sitting around the table, so it's three gentlemen and a lady. And you hear him as he goes, yes, I know, but we need to take care of this before we can get even into this issue. Drow on the doorstep, flooding, drought. There's no possible way we could take care of it all in one swoop. I don't have enough men for this. We don't have enough men for this. There aren't enough Kingsguard or Stadier's men to take care of every issue that this kingdom has all at once. I don't know what's going on, and I'm frustrated by it. And the gentleman standing to his right, your right, as you are approaching behind, says, my liege, it can be taken care of. There is time, and although the uncertainty is overwhelming, we can get it done. I can get it done. He says, thank you. The other people are all just kind of, it's tense in here is what you notice. He goes, and the other gentleman goes, right now though, we have guests. He goes, oh, of course. And this kind of hands on the table, stands up to his full height, and turned around and faces you is the King of the Northern Reaches. King Alec III is a man of large build. He is just over 6 feet tall. Pilot, he is at least your height.
Poor Pilot.
He's wearing deep blacks and blues and silvers. He has a half cape that was hanging over his back that you can see from behind that is this deep royal blue. He is broad-chested. And as he turns around, he says, welcome. I know why you're here. Please join me. And what you notice, he has a full beard with lots of streaks of gray coming in. He has close cropped hair on the sides that looks a little bit mussed on top, with occasional like streaks of gray. He appears to be in late middle age. He's not old. He might be in his 50s. And man, he looks tired. That like all things aside, like he has wrinkles that look like either smile lines or Like he has a face that looks like he has smiled a lot, but not recently. And of course, I mean, yeah, and he wears a crown. I guess that's the important thing, isn't it? On his brow sits, it's not like a crown. It is like a crown, which has inset multiple gems that are all. There's some sapphires. There's some like traditional gems, but there are a few that look like they're just filled with lightning in a way. Like they appear to give off their own little bit of light. It is a gold crown. And he says, "Forgive my manners, please." And he gestures to like stand around the table. And your uncle Japan goes, "Your Highness, it is an honor to meet you. I'm Chief Maddock." And he reaches out to like shake hands, like, which is a little forward to say to a king. And the king reaches out and shakes hands with him, and it appears to be he is as powerfully built as he appears to be powerfully built. Does not crumple underneath it. Does not crumple underneath the like informality. And he goes, "Of course, it is good to meet our neighbors to the south as well. Now, please." And you are allowed to approach the table. All 7 of you. The king says, "I've heard of your petition, and a dragon on my doorstep is equally as awful as it sounds. But at the moment," and he gestures to the table, and what you see in front of you is an entire map of the northern reaches. But it's not like a map that like you guys have seen. It is a map in incredible detail.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Ooh.
With every city and every town marked, with every forest and river and lake, all the way out to the far north into the ocean. And all throughout the map, which is spanning a significant portion of the table, are just that it's like war pieces. There are things that mark. It's hard to even describe. There are pieces that look like small fires. There are pieces that look like different types of monsters. There are little flags that with different insignias for each of the stadia. And the entire map is just full. And you're kind of hit by like, yeah, we've traveled a significant portion of the reaches to some extent, but we've stuck to like the major roads and everything. And you're like, there's a lot of people here. Like you're kind of struck for a moment of like, oh, this is a whole country. And the king says, "Chief Maddock, I'm aware of your predicament. And I'm aware of your people's trouble. However, at the moment, I cannot provide military assistance for this dragon. At the moment, I'm dealing with too many issues. My Kingsguard are stretched thin as they are. And frankly, I'm afraid war is at my doorstep. Not a fortnight ago, West Fork was attacked by a group of drow who set fire to the city. In less than a month, there have been Harpies attacks on the Ruri Crossroads. There's been flooding in Summer's Hearth, and a multitude of other things. Runoff has not gotten the snow melt it needs to send lumber down the river to the ocean for my economy to continue. And there are potentially frost giants marching south from the Great White North. Great White North? No. The Great Snows. Great White North is where you all are from. From the Great Snows. A dragon is, in fact, at this moment, the least of my worries.
Your Highness, if I may.
And he looks over to you.
I give him like a bow, not like super deep. Ilikhal
Okay.
of the Verdofuel. This dragon is far more bloodthirsty than it should be, and not only that, it is on your doorstep. It is in the Stormrange Mountains. I fear what would happen if its thirst for blood greatens.
Ilikhal, correct?
Yes.
I understand. But it is on my doorstep. It is not in my house. And right now, there is a lot of trouble in my home.
Would you rather prevent the fire or put it out once it has burned half of your house down?
Frost giant. Or dragon.
It's a metaphor.
Do you say that?
No.
Okay.
I am simply saying, imagine how much worse your problems would be if you have to deal with rebuilding your city.
And I am simply saying, do you put out the fire in the bedroom or on the doorstep first? He gestures at like a multitude of things. He says, I have 400 Kingsmen going to West Fork right now to take care of a potential act of war. The home guard is incredibly lacking. We have another 500 moving to Frostwatch. And I'll be damned if my stadier in the Rurry Crossroads is not doing his job. The help I can offer your people, who are unfortunately not my people, is nothing.
Your
I have a
Highness, I have
treasury.
saved the lives of your men. I was there when the drow attacked. I fought some of them myself. I was there in Rurry Crossroads, and I saved some of your very men from those harpies. So it is rich of you to say that I am not your subject.
And he combs through his hair. And you hear a door open to his left, to your right, if you're across the table. You hear, Father, he's right. And he looks over, and you all look over, and you see a younger gentleman, early 20s. Looks very much like the king. Looks definitely related. Says father, so it gotta be his son. But also looks very familiar to you all. Looks like Corin. If Corin was clean, bathed, maybe had a little bit of like a haircut, shaved every day, and put on a lot of nice clothes. Father, he's right. We have to be able to help somehow. He looks over and he says, and one day when you are king, you can decide that for yourself. But we have no men. He looks back to you and goes, it's not that I don't want to help. It's not possible. We're tapped out on resources. Other than assembling banners for war, do I have resources for this? If I could provide you with funds or a reward, I could potentially do that, but I have no more men. The Reaches are what we are. I cannot march an army into the Storm Range themselves.
We are not asking for an army. We are formidable fighters. We can handle ourselves. We just need a small group of your men to assist us.
But where am I to pull this small group of trained men from? The people? Do you wish my personal guard that stand outside at this very moment? That is all I have. he gestures at the map, and you see there are pieces everywhere that obviously represent different military outposts and things. And he says, only so many Kingsguard are on hand at any one time that are set to be free.
Your Majesty, if I may. And I kind of step towards the table.
Mm-hmm.
We have traveled this land, and as my friend has mentioned, we've dealt with the Harpies, and we've dealt with some other issues up in Melt. We've dealt with the Drow, and now a Frost Dragon, and you mentioned Frost Giants. I am slowly stringing together a series of events here, very natural in being. And this may come as fantasy to you. Maybe an Arcanist would understand this a little bit better, but we've come in contact with the Queen of Winter herself, Queen Mav.
Mav.
And from what you're saying, the Frost Giants from the north, the Drow, the Frost Dragons, all of these issues are of nature. And if I can share a piece of information with you, and possibly with your Arcanist, there appears to be a through line here. I believe that we can assist you if you can help us with our plight. We are currently bearers of in between communications between Queen Mab and
Titania?
Queen Titania. I'm not sure if this is any interest to you, but from what we've gathered, it seems like the seasons themselves are at war, and you may just be stuck in the crosshair.
Zhixil speaks up. There have been some unusual goings of this past winter. Perhaps Alfonz is onto something here.
The gentleman who was speaking to the king before steps up, and he's dressed in black leathers, like a full on ready to fight. He is also armed, he's armed to fight. He also has a black cape, and he looks looks similar as well. He could be like a cousin, or potentially the same significant facial feature, same kind of nose and brow line kind of looking thing. He goes, my liege, that would make a lot of sense. If the fairy queens themselves are at war, that would explain the lack of snow melt to run off. That would explain the flooding in Summer's Hearth as well. In no instance should we see rain that far north and snow this far south and things of that nature. It's never been on the books that this has happened before, but that could potentially explain it.
And as it stands, our priorities have shifted. Now, Ilikhal's tribe is at risk, and instead of going forward and meeting with this Queen Titania, we have shifted our priorities. We can progress this and, best case scenario, avoid an all-out clash between the nature after we've dealt with this dragon.
Father, they could take my god. It's 20 well-trained men, but it's better than none. And am I to leave my only son unguarded?
Could I insight only son?
Sure.
Getting chills.
Yelling at the king was fun.
I got a 17 for insight.
He's a king. He's hard to read. He's kind of angry. You can't discern if he's lying or not.
Okay.
Mostly what you're getting right now is just pure and utter frustration.
Ilikhal says, your son is in a castle, a fortress, surrounded by your own guards. I hardly think 20 men gone for a week will make a difference. This is a matter of life and death. If you stand back and do nothing, you will be responsible for the death of the Verdofield tribe. We have lost our home.
I put my hand on your shoulder.
This is what Ilikhal would do.
Yeah.
Surely a tribe of Goliaths with their troubles with a single dragon. Surely that must mean something to you.
I thought that was going another direction.
I was about to punch Zhixil in the face.
Yeah.
He looks at you, Ilikhal, he says, I pray you never have to rule. Hundreds of thousands live in the reaches and depend on my people. Those 20 men who guard my son, guard him so he may rule, so he may protect those hundreds of thousands of people. So that way your people can stand at his gate.
I pray I never have to rule, so I never have to be so callous as to allow for the extinction of an entire tribe. I pray I never become as bitter as you have.
Ilikhal.
The page will see you out. And he leaves.
Thank you for your time.
Your
Father,
Majesty.
wait. And then he literally storms out. He's not turning back. And who you expect is the prince says, I'm sorry. He's, ever since my mother passed, he's not, let me speak to him. And turns around and he heads out.
But as he's leaving, I say, thank you.
And the page, with me, please. And he escorts you out, all the way out, like out of the entire place.
I think Zhixil kind of glances at Alfonz like, yeah.
I let you storm a little bit. I imagine you're walking a little faster than the rest of us.
I wonder how Matic is feeling.
Mm.
We almost had the 20 good men.
Follows.
Almost.
Matic, as you all are walking, he looks to Elsif, his son, and Kevak, and he says, well, we'll prepare to muster what forces we can. He says, if we leave the majority of our people here for another 2 weeks, we have enough food and provisions to do that. And then potentially maybe a party of 10, 15, we could make it out. Not sure how long it would take, but we could. And like there's just strategy happening to some extent.
Strategy?
Yeah, that one. And Keovac says, Chief, everyone is still injured. We need serious provisions. We can get weapons and other equipment, but not to the extent that could potentially help. Some magical support would be potentially useful, but there's only so much we can do. Yes, and we weren't ready for the attack before, and this time we're bringing the attack to them. I bow to your wisdom, but this is not an easy fight, and there will be more hard fights to come. And it kind of is their conversation as they're walking out. And you make it to the front gates.
Does Zhixil know where Corin went?
No. He did not leave.
Okay.
A note for that. He could still be in town. But I mean, as it goes, he could be gone for the next month.
Yeah.
Is the page still with us?
He takes you all the way to the gate.
My good sir.
Yes.
If you do have the ear of the king, know that what we said wasn't fantasy.
Of course. I will pass on your perfectly reasonableness, should it become. Ask them. Have
Thank
a good day. All right. You are all in the palace square.
Ilkhal's gonna go punch a wall.
You do that.
I think so. Okay, so Zhixil pulls Alfonz and I guess Pilot aside. Is what you said? It is true. Is it true?
It is true.
Which part are you asking is
Just-
true?
All that Alfonz said.
Yeah, I was there.
You were.
Did any of us happen to notice the big tree on the big map in the Kingswood when we were looking at the map?
Yes.
It's not as pronounced in this.
Pretty
map.
pronounced in that map.
It was pretty
It
pronounced. I
was.
did notice it.
Zhixil would like to inquire more about the meeting with the Summer Queen. He's extremely curious as to what happened there.
We met the Winter
Winter Queen.
Queen.
Winter Queen, yes, sorry.
Well,
She
we
was very pretty. I would let her punch me.
But you spoke to her.
we spoke.
You
with
spoke
her.
to her.
We were invited to her court. She made some promises in exchange, obviously, in exchange for our services. And we are tasked with making contact with Queen Titania herself of the Summer Court.
This is truly fascinating. Truly. He stammers.
You want to join us for adventure?
Does this
Well,
mean something to you? You
he
seem to
sits-
have taken a very big interest in this part of our quest.
Zhixil just to meet with such high beings. What did they what did the Queen offer you?
Me personally?
Whatever it might have been.
The chance to go home. That's all I'll
Home.
say right now. I don't know you.
Zixil's mind is racing.
That's my purse.
If I had known this, you must speak with Minolin immediately.
I would love to. I may have mentioned it to the king a couple of times in vain.
He looks back over at Ilikhal. Truly, you must know that you can't do all at once. There's so much going here, and in particular, I did not know of this news of the Frost Giants.
I am not asking for the world. I am asking for 20 men.
You weren't though.
I
at first.
did. I never said I want like a whole army. I was just like, we need some help.
A good handful of the 500 men marching west right now probably would have done it.
Mm,
Because
Okay,
if it was so
500
many,
more.
how many are in the tribe of the Goliaths? Just wondering.
100.
100?
Yeah. Maybe
I
2.
don't imagine they're all fighters though.
no. And a lot of them are injured.
Mhm.
And there's children.
Hmm.
Have they considered long rests? Works every time.
There's probably like 25 solid fighters, including Ilikhal's formerly Ilikhal's mother, Keovac, Elsif, Matic himself. That's 3. Yeah, another 20-ish that are, or at least before the dragon attack. So it might be down to 20 now, like after casualties.
Did you guys notice something about the prince? He looked oddly familiar.
He did.
I turned
I look
to
at Zhixil.
Yeah, I noticed that smirk.
So Zhixil does. He's very honest. So Zhixil's. That was in fact Prince Kor, the rightful heir to the throne.
Core King's
What
heir.
is their last name, Zhixil?
King's heir.
King's heir.
That is Core's last name.
Okay.
He kind of ponders for a moment.
Zhixil, if I don't see Corin,
What do
could you tell him that I am looking for him?
I regret to inform you that I do not know where he is gone.
I'm not asking where he's gone. I'm asking if you do see him.
If I see him, of course.
That this robot's looking for him.
Robot.
I was a second from pulling off your hood when he was storming out of the room. Wait. This is what we have.
I am curious if had Zhixil ever traveled with Corin to that room that Saph was, or that pilot was.
It wouldn't have been pertinent to you, I don't think.
Probably not.
Yeah, no, I probably not.
Okay.
You've been to the palace with Corin, like you've been been to the palace without other people knowing you've been in the palace like twice.
Yeah. Okay.
Like any other time you've been to the palace with Corin has been more formally. You like other people knew you were there. Like only like twice have you been there, and other people didn't know. And not to that room because that it's literally like a deep dark basement back room. Like it was super dusty. Like Corin is like the only person that like goes there or has been there in years.
Okay.
Because it's pretty into the mountain itself too, in addition to inside the palace. But it's almost noon. You all are in the palace square, vibing.
It's okay. I have my money purse safe.
Yep.
Do you know if Minolin may be able to help us in our plight, knowing what we know now?
I believe that if we do some form of persuasion, then we might be able to get you in. I can't guarantee that, though. I don't know my way up the echelons of the guild. Is it a guild? Or is it more of like a...
No, it's like the King's Arcanist. So that's bureaucracy. The King's Arcanist is the King's like expert on everything, kind of. He is. If the King has some question about magic that he is unaware of, because the King he's not like a wizard or a sorcerer. He might be a sorcerer. I don't know if you guys don't know if he's a sorcerer or not. He's definitely not a wizard. If he has a question about like thaumaturgical sphere around the world that allows the casting of magic and certain like the sciencey bits of magic goes to the Arcanist. And the Arcanist kind of is the person who is like the jack of all trades when it comes to like jeopardy involving magic. So he's the guy who's supposed to know like a little bit about everything and a lot of a little bit. So he has like some specialties that he's particularly great with. And he's probably one of the best in his specialty, but he knows like a pretty decent bit of everything. And then his apprentices are those who will potentially take over his job when he retires, or go on to be magical advisors in other places. Like it's a really good resume builder. And then their apprentices are like actual like apprentices.
A friend of mine, he's an apprentice. It is possible that this may pique his interest, but that is all I could provide.
Well, it's a lead.
It's something. But he looks around, like at the other Goliaths, and what is the priority here?
I believe one would lead into the other. As we've made clear, we won't be making contact with the queens until we've dealt with the dragon. If we have someone who is near the king supporting our plight, that would be beneficial.
And
My people are always my top priority.
Your people are my top priority as well.
I give him like a solid nod.
I appreciate the camaraderie here. He kind of looks at Pilot. What about you? What is important to you?
I look at Ilikhal. I say it in common. I don't say it in. Is it giant? I believe.
Yeah, giant.
And I say one family.
Yeah.
Ilikhal clapped Pilot on the shoulder. Yeah.
You love to see it.
Ronald, I appreciate that.
No, did I know who that advisor next to the king was?
You would.
Okay. I think I know who it is, so.
That is Kors, and this is the king's brother, whose name is Bordrin, who doesn't have a title specifically, but he's the king's brother. And potentially, like legitimately, like his most trusted advisor. You would know that as well.
Okay.
Having been in the palace, but that is Lord Bordrin. I'm trying to give like player what's it called?
Roleplay.
No, I'm trying to let you guys choose what you do next.
I know.
I want to go see the dude.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, if you're looking, you could go to the Spark District. That's where you know. Minolin was not in that room right then. That's something you would all that Zhixil would notice. Minolin was not there.
Minolin was not in the presence of the palace. I would suggest that we do head to the Spark District. If we could somehow track him along the way, that would be fantastic. But if not, we do have a potential lead.
Yeah, you know, Minolin has a. So in the center of the Spark District is the Arcanist's. It's almost a tower. It's probably 6 stories. So if you're looking at the map,
It's a little spiral someone suggested.
It is the spiral. That is the Sparks District, or the Spark District. The center of the spiral is the Arcanist Tower. It is in the city, it's the tallest building other than like the top of the palace or like other buildings and things that are built along the cliffside. Like there are a couple like buildings up on the cliff. But this is probably the like tallest like freestanding building other than the palace itself. It's probably 6 to 8 stories. And it is in the center of the Spark District. So like from the Arcanist Tower, you can see all the Spark District and then out into the other districts. It would be an interesting view from inside of it, or from the top floor. You can look out. And you know, like the base level is like entryway and bureaucracy stuff. So you've been onto the second floor where like Pitarch, he has a room on the second floor it's like it's a bedroom. It's not fancy. And there's like a study area and it's not a library, but like it's like a home library, not like a library. There is a library there, but there's like a smaller, it's like a library, like a wall worth of books library of common to uncommon stuff. But you've heard about the like actual library on the fourth floor, which is like full of books. Yeah, so you get it that way.
Yeah.
If that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Zhixil leads the way.
Great. So you lead them along the road in that direction, which is so out of the palace square. You take a right. You take the right road, which becomes the east road. And it's right on top of the palace. It probably takes like less than 10 minutes to get there. At a brisk walk, like a leisurely walk would take 15. But you guys aren't leisurely walkers. Passing through the Spark District, there are a lot of people. Like it's midday now. It's kind of later in the week. There's a lot going on. You see there are different people like hawking different things. There's some people with like potions that are saying like, hey, this will make your hair grow. This will fix your warts. This will cure heartburn. This one will make your skin.
Arms.
There is nobody hawking a potion specifically to regrow arms.
Okay. I'm just
That-
curious.
That would be a very nice potion, though.
Mhm.
No harm in asking.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair. There are there's actually like as you start to head towards the center of the Spark District, it's not a square. There are a few like openy areas for people to sell goods or do performance or something. There is like a really interesting like it's this mix of like magical act as well as like acrobatics. It's like a monk and a bard got together and put together a street show, and it's really cool. There's like little miniature fireworks and like noisemakers, and the other individual is like walking on their hands and doing flips and like stacking chairs on top of each other, and is getting like 8 chairs high, and then like flipping off of it. It's as you pass by, they're like people like, woo, how. But yeah, as you make your way, you don't have to like walk the spiral around. There are like little streets that connect. But you do travel. You do notice there are a few different stores as well. There's one place called the Mystical Menagerie. You notice that as you walk by. It's really fancy. There's a lot of like animal noises as somebody comes out and the bell rings. You hear like a squawk. Describes the noise he makes, so that way you're sure that but yeah, you arrive at the base level of the Arcanist Tower very quickly. There are two there's one Kingsguard outside.
And you said it was the Arcanist would be on the 6th floor?
I mean, this is like his place. Like
Yeah.
he has rooms here. His bedroom is somewhere up there. It's not on the first floor. It's not on the second floor.
I want to send my my owl up to check out the windows. See if he's home. Poke around a little bit.
Make a perception check. Make it, yeah, I'll do perception.
16.
As it flies up to the top, very top, there is the top floor. It's got like the towery top. The top floor it appears to be like an observation-y room. You can see in there. There are a few tables, a couple chairs. There's no one in that floor. As he like swoops down and just kind of investigates, there are people like walking around, and like through windows you see people in other rooms not on the top floor. But looking in the top floor, it is just like observation-y. Potentially like he didn't make like good enough to like see what was on like the desks, but like
Is the window open?
So window's not open.
Damn it.
You want me to climb it?
Yes. No, we'll go through the door.
Just slip past the Kingsguard and just start scaling the tower.
Yeah, no one will notice that. It's
No.
focal point of the whole district.
No.
Spider-Man. The Kingsguard, who's at the door, goes, "Your business?" Looks at for any explanation. He looks bored out of his mind. Like he doesn't like this job.
I think Zhixil like is aware. He's like, we're looking for Pitarch if he's around.
Yeah, I think he's in here in the entry. Go on in. You go in. You let you in.
Nice.
There's plenty of security. It's just your job to like make sure you got a reason to be here. And so you enter into the entryway, and it's like the ground floor. There's a front desk sort of with somebody like reading a book. But so it's a big circular building. It's probably 40 feet across, 40 feet in diameter, 20-foot radius. What's Fireball? One fire.
Don't have that spell.
I think it's 20-foot radius.
Yeah.
Is that a threat, Noah?
No, but that's the radius.
20
I
foot.
use it enough times in my other campaign.
Yes,
They're all alive.
it is a fireball. It is a fireball around. There's somebody like sitting at the desk like reading a book, and there is this like at one of like the tables in the entry on the first floor. It's not an entryway. It's on the first floor. There is this very disheveled young man. He's got a pair of like close glasses. They're wire rimmed. That are on his eyes, and he has a wand. And he's left-handed. And he's looking at a bunch of different parchments laid out on a pretty big table, and he's saying like a bunch of arcane incantations, and he's got a calligraphy brush, like a fancy brush in his mouth, and he's and a book in his other hand. He's got a lot going on. Book, a pen, and a wand, which he holds like Alfonz does. Like a chopstick. And he's reciting a bunch of different like arcane instances. He says, what? And he says, no, that's not yeah.
Can I identify what he's saying and tell him what it is?
Make an Arcana check.
No.
What did you get?
I have 5 plus 5, so 10.
Maybe. Hold on.
I forgot I had a plus 5 in Arcana.
Nice.
And a 10 would be enough. With the context clues, or the calligraphy brush, in addition to everything else, he is attempting and the cast time would take. He's attempting to cast illusory script. You notice on the parchment in front of him, he is gesturing out with his wand.
He's making copies. He's a photocopier.
No, he is trying to make it illegible. Magically.
Oh, okay.
Alfonz just go up to him and rip the paper in half.
No. I'm trying to be helpful. We're trying to get into the building this time. Not thrown out again. No shade. Theo, you did exactly what Ilikhal would have done, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally respect that. I think that conversation went as well as it could have.
Yeah.
Could have gone a little better.
Considering
but
Ilikhal.
Yeah.
I have a
appreciate
good
the-
idea of
Yeah.
who he is.
Yeah.
I appreciate the dedication to
Handled
the
well.
He said, unfortunately, Ilikhal said all of the wrong things.
Everyone is like that.
He was motivated by certain things.
Yeah, and Ilikhal hates the
also-
idea of royalty, so
Mhm.
bureaucracy.
Yep. Yeah, so he's trying to cast illusory script. I mean, you can interrupt him. He does kind of what? He's wearing
It's kind of like a Leviosa moment.
yeah. He's wearing one of those like frill shirts that have like the tie, like it's like a leather thong that you can tie the shirt up, but it's got like the sleeves, but he's got the sleeves like hastily rolled up. And they like one is definitely like come and like slip down, the one on his like wand hand. But yeah, he's attempting to cast illusory script. And he gives it another, he looks at it, he says, Lectum incantum illus verbum. Ironically, there are no verbal components for this spell.
Why did you choose?
I didn't know what.
We'll
It's very
pretend.
rare that there
That's
are no
true.
verbal components
Yeah.
for a spell. But yeah, as you watch, it does. There's like a slight fizzle, and the words on the page kind of they glow like a bluish for a second, and then they fade back and they settle in black. They might have been successful. You're unsure. You couldn't read them from how far away you are. But Zhixil, you know that to be Pitarch.
So
Okay.
Zhixil just announces as they're walking towards him, Pitarch, I hope you're not using that for nefarious reasons.
And he looks up and he goes, like, he's got like they're very meh glasses. And he looks up and he looks through. He goes, Zhixil, hello. No,
Good to
I'm
see
just
you, friend.
practicing. It's good to see you. What brings you in today?
Quite the story to tell you, my friend.
Please have a seat. You bring friends.
I do.
Hello.
Hello.
Pitarch.
Great to meet you.
Hello.
Pitarch, I must bring this up to speed in a way that I hope you understand the urgency of this. My companions, he kind of looks around. My friends here, they're in quite a predicament. Especially my friend Alfonz here. He gestures to Alfonz. They claim to have spoken to the Queen of Winter.
The Queen of Winter? No way.
I take off my pin and I hand it to him. Just I want him to feel the cold emanating from it.
He takes it and he takes his wand and he says, Identiforum. And you see a spark of magic in his eyes and down through the tip of his wand. And he looks at you and he goes, Wow. I guess you have. It's weird that it stays cold. You could put this in a beer and it would be really interesting.
You have a very interesting mind, and I think we'll get along very well. For that did not occur to me until just now. I take it back. We have made contact with the king. We do have some pressing issues that we need to resolve, but we were hoping with Minolin on our side, in our plight, we may have audience with the king once again.
Minlin, you want to speak to the master? That's. He looks at you. He said, "You didn't tell them I could get them all the way to the top, did you?"
Oh, I did not.
With a story like this, a man of your caliber, I'm sure you could spin a tale to get us all the way to the top. Sitting in the lobby of this building, failing at a spell.
Pitarch, surely you know if Minolin is around at the very least.
Or at least if he'd have any interest in our plight.
Well, I do know he is here today. But I've only talked to Master Hammond. I'm not sure if I can get you any further than that. But I can introduce you to my master, who is technically the Lord Arcanist's apprentice. Although it's a whole bureaucracy. But I can introduce you to my master, and he could potentially introduce you to Lord Minolin. He actually knows him. I've only met him a few times.
That would
Sorry,
be
if you could.
a great
That'd
help.
be fantastic.
Well, Master Hammond is in his quarters. I'll take us up there. We'll see if he can be convinced, and then if he could be convinced, I'm sure he would allow you to meet with the Lord Arcanist. So he takes you up 2 floors to the 3rd floor. It's interesting so it alternates from an outer staircase to an inner staircase. So like going up from the 1st and 2nd floor is along what appears to be like the perimeter of the Arcanist Tower. And then the center of the 2nd floor is a spiral staircase that goes up to the 3rd floor. And he takes you to, once you reach the 3rd floor, he takes you to a certain quarter and you knock, knock, knock. And you hear, "Come in."
You guys must get a lot of cardio in here.
That just means in like worlds where there aren't elevators, the important people live on the top floors. That just means they have to walk a lot.
Yeah. If you think about it, I bet they'd be on the bottom floor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they know, like, the important, like, magic users know how to use fly.
Just levitate themselves up the stairs.
Yeah.
That would work.
No.
The Pitarch looks in and goes, "Master Hammond, I have a few people who have something interesting that might be of interest to you, and potentially Lord Minolin. May I introduce my friend Zhixil, and our new acquaintances, Alfonz, and the other two, whose names I didn't ask."
Alfonz and Co.
You hear just the deepest sigh. "Come in." And it says, this guy looks kind of like a wizard, middle, like 30. He has
Baby.
like Doctor Strange goatee. But he's blonde, so he has like Doctor Strange fairly long blonde hair.
Does Zhixil have history with Hammond?
You have met him once,
Okay.
but not like Pitarch is your friend. Like Hammond is just like your friend's boss.
Just like friends showing up to your work and just be like, "Yo, I need to meet your CEO like today."
Yeah.
Literally.
Speak to your manager.
Good afternoon. Hi, how can I help you, Zhixil? Alfonz? And he says, and like ask the names of the other two.
Ilikhal.
Ilikhal. And
Sheriff.
what?
Sorry?
Zhixil's extremely confused. by
Sorry?
this.
Jareth?
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 Jareth? Come on.
Jareth? Jareth?
That was the first name I could think of. That one.
Hold on, let me update Saph's name.
Welcome. Please have a seat. You have something of interest to me. If Petar gets this excited about it, potentially it is actually of interest to me.
I would certainly hope so.
I will start brief, and I'm willing to get into as much detail as possible. But we have just returned from the Feywilds after having court
It's up.
with the Queen of Winter herself, Queen Mab. Mab. B. It's a B. I never know.
You say, we just got back from the Feywild. He goes, oh, and then he sits up. And then you say, after having court with the Winter Queen herself, and he sits back and he crosses his arms and he goes, oh. Please continue.
From our meeting, there does seem to be quite the strife and struggle between both herself and Queen Titania of the Summer Court. We have been tasked with providing communication between the two courts, and we believe that this is something that the Arcanist may be interested in and may be able to assist us with. As the Fae often are, they are quite vague in their ask. They've pointed us in the direction of the Kingswood, and that is what we are working from. However, we did have court with the king, which unfortunately some passions did flare, and we would like to reconvene with the king via the Arcanist if possible to push this matter along.
Well, that is incredibly interesting for sure. How do I know that you're not just telling me a tale? The Kingswood is quite large. There could be plenty of passages to the Feywild there. A few that we've recorded over time. But
it appears this was enough to convince our friend Petarch, but maybe have a look at this brooch.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
What does the mark on Pilot's arm look like?
That's
Is it visible?
20! That's a 20! +2, so 22.
Never mind.
This is the first time I've had a conversation go okay.
I'm so proud.
That's the baby player.
And Petar backs up and goes, Master, it's authentic. I identified it myself. Yes, I'm sure you did. He looks over and he flicks it, he holds it in his hand, he's like, it is interesting that it stays cold. He hands it back to you. We have noticed through some instruments bad behavior with the weather. And strife between the queens would, I hate to say explain, because that is a lot in and of itself, but that would make sense.
And from a learned point of view as yourself, I would understand taking this with a grain of salt. Obviously, there's always been the changings of the seasons, but from what we've experienced with harpies coming as low as Rory Crossing, with the frost spiders that we encountered on the way, with the drow burning of the West Fork, with the ice dragon on the way here, it's West Fork.
The West Fork.
You said the West Fork.
That's in character for Alfonz.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
not from here. I've been there once.
Just
Yeah.
wrong.
Just wrong
I love
enough. With the
It's
frost
like
dragon,
saying Toronto.
Toronto. You know what I'm saying. With the ice dragon, with the frost giants coming from the north, something is awry.
Yes, definitely something. What do you expect Master Minolin to be able to help with, though?
Provide an ear to the king. We've made our plea known to the king, and if we had someone in his court on our side to help hammer this home, that we are capable of maybe resolving this issue before It marches all the way down to Storm's Fall and brings ruin to the cities from the north to the south, all the way to the capital. I would not like to see that bloodshed, and I would like to resolve that if possible. If we had someone at the king's ear who understood that plight, that could save thousands, if not millions of lives.
I can pass this on. Certainly. And I'm certain Master Minolin himself, the Lord Arcanist, will be on your side. He's meeting with the king this afternoon. He doesn't wear a watch. As I look at my watch, he doesn't wear a watch.
Pocket watch.
Magical pocket watch. Zhixil says, I'll pass it on before he leaves this afternoon. And potentially that could help your plight. I don't know to what extent, but issues between the queens could absolutely be a problem. I will get right on it. Petarch, you were correct. This does interest me very much. So you are not in trouble this time, but perhaps maybe ask everyone their name before you take them. And he Petarch looks up and he looks like he was doing something, like he'd glossed over and was doing something else in his head. He goes, I am so sorry, Master. This absolutely on me. I will definitely in the future. Absolutely, my apologies. It's fine. Just be more careful. Oh, yes. My thanks. I will pass on your word here. And he scribbles something down the paper and he says, "This is your nat 20 working for you, by the way. Should you ever need anything else from me, this will get you in beyond the first floor." And he hands you a note with his, and he flourishes and says something under his breath, magical, and it seals like a magical wax seal onto it.
This is perfect, and I do believe we will be crossing paths yet again. Although this is quite the tale and this is pressing now, I think there's more of interest to be discussed between the two of us.
I do as well. Now, please, I must go pass on your message.
Thank you.
He escorts you to the door, and he heads to the outer perimeter to take the stairs up, as you head to the inner perimeter to take the stairs down.